For this lesson, you will need your notebook, and go ahead and start a new page and title it Ice Melting Rates. The materials you're going to need today are 2 glasses with water. It should be the same temperature and they should have the same amount of water. You'll need some salt, 4 to 6 ice cubes, and a straw. Oh, you should also have a spoon for measuring the salt. Here's a list of the materials you can write down. Now, just recently, I took this spoon and measured out some salt, and I put some salt into one of the cups, and I left this one without any salt. And then in the setup where I put the salt, I also blew a little bit of air into the cup. When we blow air out, we release carbon dioxide, also known as CO2. So I was blowing CO2 into this cup. Again, this cup has plain water and is setup 1. This cup has salt and CO2 and is setup 2. Now, your purpose today, I added an ice cube to each. And what was very interesting is that the ice cube in this setup 2 melted slower than the ice cube in setup 1. This doesn't make sense to me because on cold days we use salt to melt ice. So shouldn't this one have melted more quickly? So our purpose today is to determine what is causing the ice cube to melt more slowly in setup 2 than in setup 1. Go ahead and pause and write the purpose. Now that we have our purpose, we need to come up with a focus question. Take a moment now and come up with your focus question. I have come up with a focus question. What is causing the ice to melt more slowly in setup 2 than in setup 1? For your experiment, you will need to chart your data. You may either use a table, pictures, or both. I have examples of each. This is a table that I made for the experiment that I just did. I have the variables salt, CO2. I have setup 1. I didn't have salt in it, so it gets a no. I didn't have CO2, so it gets a no. In setup 2, I had salt, so it gets a yes. And CO2, I had CO2, so it gets a yes. Don't forget to put the controls at the bottom, the things that stay the same. The controls are the type and size of glass, the amount and temperature of water, and the size and number of ice cubes. Now, if I didn't want to do a chart like that, I could go ahead and just show what I did using pictures. In setup 1, I show that I have a glass, water, and an ice cube. In setup 2, I show that I have a glass, water, and an ice cube. But I also show that I have salt and CO2 that I blew in through the straw. Again, the constants are down here, and in this case I have to list the variables because I didn't list them in a chart. Now go ahead and set up your experiment. You will need to change one of the variables to be able to determine what is causing the ice to melt. Is it the CO2 or is it the salt? Go ahead and set up your experiment and give it a try. Now that you've done your experiment and you've collected your data, you'll need to make a claims and evidence statement. Here is a format for that. I claim blank because blank. You have to support your claims with direct evidence from your experiment and the data you collected. Lastly, you'll go ahead and make your conclusion statement. Remember to record all of this in your notebook as we will be discussing this in class tomorrow.